afternoon. I'm Dr. Bhabani Mallia. Welcome you to the channel. I'm going to teach paper marketing research. Today I'm going to cover Unit 1 of that block, marketing research and introduction. The contents are introduction, need for marketing research, meaning and importance, marketing research process, scope of the marketing research function, limitations of the marketing research, users' perspectives. Last but not the least, the summary of the paper. Introduction. Marketing research is the function that provides the marketers with the necessary information about the consumer, competitors, and other stakeholders. In the process, an organization can discover new market prospects, access and track marketing initiatives, and generally improve its marketing strategy to better suit and the needs of the consumer. Thus, marketing research acts as the link between the consumer and the marketers, which is most important for both of them. Let us know what is the need for the marketing research. According to Pingerley, there are four C's, and the marketing planning as four C's are satisfying the needs of the consumer better than the competition, doing so that the lowest cost and in the given context. If you will observe these four lines, you will find four C's. What are they? Now, these are the first one is customer, then competition, cost, and the context. Thus, information is essential for making appropriate decisions. Information, which is most important for the marketers and the decision makers, and it is gathered by managers from a variety of internal sources. Several companies use a sophisticated marketing information system, which is nothing but known as MIS popularly, to help in decision making. So MIS aids is in routine decisions using existing data, but complex decisions require deeper insights and a re-evaluation of the forces, like what is the customers, what type of competition, what should be the lowest cost, and what is the context. So according to Percy notes that while MIS uses existing data, marketing research generates new information. Coming to the marketing research, meaning and importance. Operationally speaking, marketing research is defined as the objective that and formal process of collecting information that is otherwise known as data, and we are going to analyzing the result and communicating the findings that their implications in terms of marketing actions. As we know, data is so important, and we need to collect and need to analyze the data so that we can get the findings which will help us to decision making. So, marketing research is a systematic collection and analysis of information that is ultimately used in evolving some marketing decisions. It may be any kind of decisions, but it's required to systematically collection and also analyze the information to get a solution and to also take a marketing decisions. All stages of a research study must be carried out in a logical manner. For instance, one should start with a concise statement of the issues to be investigated, indicate the information required to study those select problems, defines the methods to be adopted to collect those data, specify the relevant technique to be employed for analyzing the data, and finally state that the research findings and their specific implications for marketing decision makings. Generally, when we are going for any kind of research, there are two motive. One is what I am going to contribute to the society, or by which, how, and in which manner my solution or my findings is going to help the society? Second is what type of problems are there so that I can solve them by doing research on that. So here we are doing the same thing for marketing in marketing research. Coming to the marketing research, meaning what is the meaning and what is the importance of the marketing research for the manager? Let us know. According to American Marketing Association defines marketing research as the function that links the consumer and the public to the marketers through information used to identify and define opportunities and problems, generate, refine, and evaluate actions, monitor performance, and improve understanding of it as a process. So, what is the process? If you will check, it is nothing but that links the consumer. It will link with the marketer through information which we are going to collect in the process, and also the opportunity and the problems. We will refine it, generate it. Sometimes we have to evaluate our actions. So it specifies the information required to address these issues, designs the method for collecting information, manages and implements the data collection process, analyzes the result, and communicates the findings and their implication. As we know, we at the end we will discuss what is our findings, whether the findings is going to give any kind of solution to the society or the decision maker will easily take any kind of decision or not. That we need to check as a researcher. Marketing research, to have to make the definition easier to understand, we can discuss or we can know few points or the components separately. The first component says it identify and define marketing opportunities and problems. Implies to conduct research to explore the external environment. So the external environment need to be explored by the researcher so that it can be better understood the problems. After that we can go for the exploration or the collection of data or the search selection of the design how to solve the problem. Second, generate, refine, and evaluate marketing actions. Refer using research to ascertain whether the organization is meeting customer needs or not. It is also important for the organization as well as the customer and research. Third one is monitor marketing performance, meaning it means conducting research to determine whether the organization is succeeding in its objective or not, which is also has a great role in the marketing research. And the fourth one, last but not the least, understanding marketing as a process. We should, as a researcher, we should understand that marketing is a process actually. We should understand each process, each steps, which entails utilizing research to learn to market more effectively. So coming to the research process, marketing research process, which is most important, a researcher should understand and follow the process to get effective solution. Coming to the marketing research, it is an exercise. May take many forms, but systematic inquiry is feature common to all such forms. Being a systematic inquiry, it requires careful planning of the orderly investigation process. Though it is an oversimplification to assume that all research processes would necessarily follow a given sequence, marketing research follows a generalized pattern which can be broken down and studied as sequential stages. Here you will see the process. The first is defining the problem. Second is statement of the research objectives. And the third one is planning of a research design, then planning a sample, then collecting the data, analyzing the data, formulating conclusions, preparing and presenting the report. If you will see the defining the problem, so when we are going for research, the only reason is there is a problem which we want to solve. So first of all, we have to identify what is the problem actually in the market or marketing. Then once we will identify the problem, we will write the same problem in the statement, which is nothing but your research problem. Then, after defining the research problem, the second step is statement of research objective. What is this research objective? Now, the problem we had find out, we have to write in an objective manner means what we want to get to solve the problem. It is known as research objectives. Then planning a research design. Once we will identify our research objective, when identifying our research problem, then we have framed our objective. So from the objective, we can understand what type of research design is applicable for the research objectives. Once we finalized our research design, we will go for the planning of a sample. As because always it is not possible to collect the data by census method. Census is also another method of collection of data, but it is more time consuming, most cost is being beared in that process, and also it require a huge manpower to for the collection of the data. So many a time it is not possible to adopt the census method. That is why, and it is also not scientific in nature. That is why we are preparing sometimes in many a research problem to collect the data is the sampling method. So we will also plan a sampling method which will be suitable for my research statement. Then with the help of that sampling method, we will go for the collection of data. Then after collection of data, we will analyze the data. After an analysis, definitely I will find something or the findings. Then the finding, from the finding, I will interpret the data, information or the solution. Then we will formulate the conclusion with the help of that result. After the conclusion, we will preparing the same report on the entire process and we will represent. So coming to the first point of the first stage of the process, research process, that is defining the problem. The research process begins with the defining of problem. As we discussed now, the first point is or first step is to defining the research problem. The research task may clarify a problem or define an opportunity. For example, in the case of a fruit and vegetable retailer, he could want to know why the sales are not meeting expectations for organic fruits and vegetables. Suppose this is a problem statement, or the problem faced by the shopkeeper. The reason could be lack of awareness towards the benefits of the organic fruits and vegetables, pricing and positioning of products, and so on that need to be further explored. Here, as we said, the first step of the research process is defining the problem. So here, the problem here faced by the seller of the organic food and vegetables, that he is saying that what is the reason behind it, why sales are not meeting expectations. Then, what are the possible reasons? I had mentioned here only two main reasons. That reason could be lack of awareness towards the benefit of organic fruits and vegetables, or it may be pricing or positioning of the product, and so on. It may be anything, but initially these are maybe the reasons for why the sales is not meeting the expectation. Another scenario or a case we can discuss could involves a marketing manager deciding whether to continue, discontinue, or modify a campaign based on its impact on product sales. So what is the next scenario we can say that the marketing researcher or marketing manager deciding whether to continue with the same strategy what is adopted by the seller. who is selling fruits and organic fruits and vegetables, or to discontinue the strategy or modify a campaign based on its impact on product sales. Even if the campaign appears successful, sales might not have risen as anticipated due to other influencing factors such as pricing, distribution issues, or aggressive competitor promotions. These are the possible factors or the possible things which are affecting to the same problem, or which are responsible for the same problem facing by the fruits and vegetable retailers who is selling the organic fruits. In such cases, the manager requires additional information to accurately define and address the problem. So, in this case, what are the possible cases or the reasons we have discussed? This may be the reason, but before assuming which one is actually impacting the sales of these seller or these fruits and organic fruits and vegetables, the manager need to inquiry or to find out what is the reason exactly. So additional information to accurately defines and address the problem, which is most important to find out or to define the research problem. Often, only the symptoms of a problem are visible at the start of the research process, making a clear initial problem statement unfeasible. So, exploratory research is therefore essential to understand the situation and formulate a detailed problem definition. Exploratory research design, which is nothing but is a type of research design. With the help of that, we have to explore what are the things, what are the components are responsible for the problem we have addressed. So, to gather more information, we need to go for the exploratory research, which is essential to understand the situations. This clarity is paramount because marketing research demands substantial investments of both time and money. By carefully defining the problem, researchers establish focused study objectives. So, what to do for that? We have to focus on our study objectives. That much of clarity should be there in the study objective so that a researcher can solve the problem or can easily find out what will be the way ahead, what will be the solution, exact solution for the problem. These objectives in turn streamline the data collection process, ensuring it yields useful information at a manageable cost. The cost is also too important in the process. So typically exploratory method includes surveys of secondary data, experience surveys and pilot studies, which is helpful to know more about the research problem, what is the reasons and what are the factors influencing the problems or creating the problem. We need to study by exploratory research only. Now, after defining our research problem, we need to go to the second step or the of the process, that is statement of the research objectives. So, in this process, after clarifying the research problem, the researcher formally states the objectives, what he wants, what to do with that problem. So, these objectives, quantitatively or qualitatively, are articulated as either research questions or testable hypotheses. Now, a new term came, that is hypothesis. As because we have defined our research problem, but it is not so easy to test the research statement or objective or the line of objective of which we framed from the research problem. So, what to do next? Now, from the research objective, a testable hypothesis should be framed by the researcher, which to be tested. So, these objectives may be qualitative or quantitatively. It should be articulated as either research questions or testable hypothesis. Actually, more preferable is testable hypothesis. A research questions objective might be like this, or we can say a researcher should know how to write the research statement or the objective. That of, just an example, I'm saying to find out the extent to which sales promotion programs affected sales. So it is a type, it is a research problem. So we have from the research problem we had written our research objective like this. Next, coming to the hypothesis, a hypothesis conversely is a precise statement designed for empirical validation or a refutation. For example, the above objective could become the hypothesis. So, priorly, what I said about the research objective that to find out the extent to which sales promotion programs affected sales. From that research objective, if we are writing the hypothesis will like be this: sales are positively affected by the sales promotion program undertaken this summer, or it may be it is depends upon the researcher or the situation in front of the researcher. This statement may be like this: sales are, are negatively affected by the sales promotion programs undertaken this summer. It may be, but this hypothesis should be like this, will cover the entire objective but in a declarative statement like this. Another potential hypothesis is coming to the next example of hypothesis: concentrating advertising in monthly waves, increasing sales and profits compared to continuous advertising. It is another example of hypothesis. So defining these objectives or hypothesis enables the researcher to move forward with selecting the research design. So hypothesis will tells us what type of research design is required to collect the data or to complete the research process. Now we are in the third step of the process, that is planning the research design. So a research design serves as a blueprint that outlines how the necessary data will be collected and analyzed. As we said, before doing anything, a design or blueprint is required. Similarly, for research design, the blueprints covers how the data will be collected and analyzed. It provides a structured framework for implementing the research plan. The objectives identified in the earlier stage are integrated into the design to ensure the data gathered aligns with the study's goal or not. At this point, the researcher must also decide on the sources of information, appropriate data collection methods such as surveys or interviews, what is appropriate for the researcher, sampling techniques, what sampling techniques they are going to be used, as well as the timing and estimated costs of the research. All these things should be decided prior according to the budget and also for the requirement of the research. The design selected may fall under exploratory, descriptive, quasi-experimental or experimental categories, each offering various methodological options. Further, further details about specific research design and their suitability for different research problems will be explored in next units. As we are selecting sampling method for collection of data, so we must choose the or the plan for the sampling, which sampling we are going to take. This is covered in the fourth steps, that is called planning the sampling. While the sampling plan is a part of the overall research design, the actual process of planning is a distinct and crucial stage in the research process. Sampling involves selecting a small portion of the population. We can say also sampling or a sample is a subset of the population. Population is a vast concept where we are covering sampling. Sample is a very small part, but it carries all the characteristics of the population. So we are using sampling here to draw conclusion about the entire group. The first question is to address is who should be blamed. This stems from clearly identifying the target population. So before going to sampling or to collect the data by using sampling method, we should know or the researchers should know or having the idea what is the population, from which population the researcher will collect the sample. However, defining the population is not always straightforward. Sometimes it is not very easy to find out the target population. But first of all, we have to define our target population. For instance, if we are studying the relationship between saving and loans, surveying only existing account holders may lead to biased result, as the sample would exclude potential customers who do not yet have accounts. So these are the exceptions. So the researcher need to follow or need to plan for the sampling very carefully, which is most important for the researcher as it is a method of collection of data. Once we choose our sampling method, we will go for the data collection, which is most important part of the research. The data collection process follows the formulation of research design, including the sampling plan. Data which can be secondary or primary can be collected using variety of tools. If it is secondary data, as for the research or the requirement of the research, if it is a secondary data, then we can collect it with a very low cost. The sources of the secondary data we can say like a newspaper, any published source, or we can say magazines or any industry based as for the requirement of the research. But if it is primary data, then it will take some time to collect the information. There are many methods of collection of data in primary method which we will discuss in the coming units. These tools are classified into two broad categories: the observation method and the communication methods, all of which have their inherent advantage and disadvantage. All these methods and their appropriateness of different situations have been discussed in the next units. We will discuss later on. Then we are here in the next step in the process of the research, that data processing and analysis. Once we collected the data by using sampling method, now we are in the steps or we are in the stage that to process the data, and also analyze the data. Once the data has been collected, it has to be converted to a format that will suggest answers to the problem identified in the first step. Data processing begins with the editing, coding, transcription, and verification of data. Editing involved inspecting the data collection forms for omission, legibility, and consistency in classification, and if necessary, corrected. If necessary, corrected. Prior to tabulation, responses must be categorized coding. Prior to the tabulation, responses must be categorized. Coding is the process of classification and recording data. As in raw data, there are many problems. So from the beginning, we have to code the data using numbers or letter, anything for storage. Each questionnaire response is assigned a code. This coding enables efficient manual or computer tabulation, where data can be directly entered or transferred to files for computer analysis. For computer analysis, we must have to coding the data or to cleaning the data, then we will go for the coding. In coding, we are free to give any kind of letter or number to the data so that it will be easier for the computer for analysis or for using any kind of software for analysis. Next step is formulating conclusion, preparing and presenting the report. Interpreting data and deriving insights from management decision concludes the research process. So it is the we can say it is the end of the process for effective use in decision making findings must be presented in a straightforward, understandable manner so that anybody from the society or any layman can understand what we have done, what is the result, what is the problem, and what is the result, so that we can be satisfied that yes, we have solved the problem, or the society is going to get benefited by our research solution. The research report should prioritize clear communication of the results and their meaning, not intricate technical or methodological details. So when we are in the last stage of the process that formulating conclusions, so it means we are writing something or preparing presentation on our report. In the presentation, whatever terms or the whatever result, what result we are going to present should be very simple and clear in communication. As because we should always keep in our mind that the person who is going to see our result, that person is not a researcher, that person is not a technically sound, might be, may not be. So anybody can understand what is my conclusion, what is the solution I'm going to give, or what I found from my research. Anybody can understand. So it must be very easy and very clear communication must be there. Management is more concerned with the actual results of the research than the specifics of the research methodology and statistical analysis. That should be there. And therefore, researchers must ensure that the presentation is technically correct, understandable, and beneficial for the society. Before taking action on the findings, executives must be convinced of their significance. If there is no significance, then it has no meaning of the research. So the managers or the researcher should be very focused on that, whether the findings executes and what is the significance, whether it is priorly there or it is not, it was not necessary, but we have done. That should be managed or checked by the researcher as well as the manager who is dealing to the problem. So after that, the end of the research process, the next part is the writing of the report. How we will present the report into to the society. So in that format, the first point is title page. The title which will tell about our entire problem and the solution. So title page is first, then table of contents, what is there in our report, that should be addressed so that it will be easy for the person who is studying the report. He can easily find where is what is the content and where it is, what is the page number. All these things will be there in the second. Then third is the introduction about the title. Then statement of objectives. What was the objectives? What is actually studied? What are the objectives? What the aim of the study? It should be mentioned first. Then what type of methodology has been adopted by the researcher to solve the such kind of objectives or the problem? Then, under the methodology, there are many things like what type of research design the author has adopted, or the research has been adopted, what kind of sampling design it is taken care of, then data collection method, what type of data collected, how it is collected, what is the population, all these things should be mentioned. Then field work, how the data collected from the field, if it is primary data, then tools and techniques which is used for the data collection, it should be mentioned in the research design, in the methodology. These are the most important part of the methodology: research design, sampling, data collection method, fieldwork, and tools of data analysis. That analysis and interpretation, what we got and how we analyze the data, and what is our interpretation. Then the findings. Then also we have to mention what is the limitations, what is the scope of the study inside which we have done our research, and why we did this research inside this scope. All these things should be mentioned. If the study is inside this particular location, suppose it is inside the Bhubaneswar, then we have to clarify also what is the justification of conducting the research inside the Bhubaneswar, why it is not from outside. Then conclusions at the end, then recommendation if any, then what the bibliography or list of references which we have taken or we have studied to understand about our study. Then the last number is appendix or a copy of the forms or questionnaire used. Then second is tables not included in the findings. So this is the order of the report. These are the points to be placed according to the order. Coming to the scope of the as per our content, the scope of the marketing research and function. The bulk of research is done to measure consumer wants and needs. Also, marketing research is carried out to assess the important impact of the past marketing actions. Some research is done to understand the competitive, technological, social, economic, culture, cultural, political, or legal environments of the market. We cannot say the market is confined in some or in a particular space. It can be any space. So it impacts of past marketing action is also required. Some research is done to understand many aspects of the market, like it may be economical, it may be cultural, it may be political, it can anything. So coming to one by one, we are analyzing the sales analysis. Sales analysis is a part. So much research is done in the following areas, which are broadly referred to as sales analysis, like measurement of market potential and demand projection. That is also aspect of sales. Determinations of market characteristics, market share estimation, studies of business trends. These are the four points, or these are the four sides of the markets where we can go for analyzing of the sales, how the sales is happening, or what to do for promotion of sales. All these things we can see here. In fact, some of the more detailed studies to be carried out under the broad ambit of sales analysis could be as follows, like the types of consumers that constitute the potential market, the size and location of the market, the growth and concentration of the market over a certain period of time, the competitive picture of the product, then the major strategies of leading competitors with respect to price, offering, distributions, etc., and the purchasing habits of key market segments. What is the pattern of pre-purchase deliberations made by the consumer? Who are involved in the decision making? What are the roles of different members in the decision making? How does the product fits into the consumer's lifestyle? Offerings, and do consumers prefer to buy some particular brands? Assess the degree of brand loyalty. All these things to be analyzed. Second is sales method and policies. With a view of evaluating the effectiveness of the present distribution system, marketing research studies are also conducted. Such studies are used in establishing or revising sales territories. They are also helpful in the establishment of sales quotas, the design of territory boundaries, compensation to the sales force, physical distribution, and distribution cost analysis, etc. Marketing research is also done to assess the effectiveness of different promotional activities such as premiums, deals, coupons, and samplings, etc. Then third component is product management. So every marketer tries to formally or informally utilize informations to manage existing and new products. It examines market feedback about competitive product offerings, offers. Also, some companies make use of marketing research to form market segments through the choice of alternative bases. Companies also carry out different research studies to access consumer feedback on new products and their likely potentials. Of late, in India, many consumer products have been launched after a rigorous amount of research. We can take the case of uh, Geo. So it has behind that launching of Geo SIM or Geo market, there is a rigorous research on market. How, what is the taste of the customers, what type of plants they are using in uh, different other different companies plants, what are the different taste, what type of customers are there, it is required, it has been researched, then only the launching of Geo was possible. Moreover, research has enabled us to diagnose how consumers perceive various brands of a product. Such studies have enabled companies to position their brands. Marketing research studies have been conducted to monitor the performance of the taste brand in terms of trial or repeat purchases launched in selected shops in the market. Such studies are popularly known as simulated taste marketing. In short, we can say STM models. Pricing studies, packaging research, design, or physical characteristics have also been conducted. Fourth is advertising research. Here, two components are there, media research and copy research. Media research is carried out in order to understand the overall state of the media market and to analyze the media's target audience. As we say, we have to find out what is our target population. Same here, for example, a media target audience research includes regional research, demographic group research, social group research, demand group research, and consumer group research. Respondent who have cable TV, television, or you can say TV audience survey, internet users, internet audience survey, we can say radio listeners, those who are listening radios, we can also go for a survey, radio audience survey, and respondents to the national leadership survey are additional. They are coming under the media research. Then copy research. The second type of advertising research is copy research. Advertising agencies have been regularly engaged in this activity where they test out alternative copy designs by obtaining the feedback form to the consumer. Studies of advertisement effectiveness, marketing research studies are frequently used by advertising campaigns to evaluate and monitor the success of various advertising campaigns. Then the fifth one is corporate research. Here, large-scale corporate images studies among different target publics. Then the second is social values research, political studies, then customer survey studies. In large-scale corporate image studies among different target publics, they involves an assessment of knowledge about company activities, association of company with sponsored activities and company perceptions on specific dimensions. These type of corporate images study are done periodically to monitor any change in image over time among different publics. Under social value research, if we will talk about that, knowledge, attitude, and practices on family planning, anti dowry, smoking, drinking, etc., coming under the social value research, which is also required for the society. Under the political studies, we can say in recent time, marketing studies have been conducted To ascertain the public opinion about the election results, we can study on these situations under political studies. So many bank and large industrial houses have restored to marketing research to know the consumers' changing need for the service and possible grievances about the studies in operations. So customer services service studies, we can say all the to that with all the merits. As we know, a coin has two sides. The research having some limitations, so under that we can say marketing managers may seek information from marketing research studies. However, it's marketing managers who should make the final marketing decision and not the researcher. We can say every time manager is not a researcher, but we know that research is helpful to take any kind of decision, but it is not possible that always the researcher will be the manager. So sometimes it happens that if the marketing manager who should make the final marketing decision, he or she should understand what is the research outcome and what is the solution we are getting. According to that, he or she should take the decision. But it is most important if it is not happening, or you can say in the marketing manager who should make the final marketing decision and not the researcher, it means that the second key point is what, that marketing research does not guarantee success. It is, we can say that always marketing research does not guarantee success, acknowledges the dynamic nature of the marketing environment, while research can provide insights to current market conditions. It cannot periodic future scenarios. So these are the limitations. We can say that, for instance, when Maggie noodles, we are going to discuss one example. When Maggie noodles were introduced in the India in 1982, they were initially targeted at working women. Nestle's research revealed consumer reluctance to replace traditional meals with noodles. This was the findings of, or this, you can say this was the situation of India at that time in 1982, indicating strong resistance to change. However, instead of being discouraged, the marketing manager used this insight to craft a strategy that focused on moments when food habits were less rigid, making it easier to introduce the change. This approach ultimately led to the remarkable success of the Maggie in India. The marketing research process involves several steps, each with the potentials of errors. A key error known as surrogate information arises when the research problem does not accurately reflect the decision problem. Other error can result from poor respondent selection, unclear questionnaire, or incorrect data analysis. These are the responsible for wrong solution. To ensure reliable results, it's essential to minimize these errors through careful planning and execution. Marketing research supports management decisions but cannot replace managerial judgment and discorrection. Teach one of the several tools, and many small business succeed without formal research. Its effectiveness increases when combined with institutions, expertise, and enthusiasm. Ultimately, success depends on implementing the right marketing strategy, even if research indicates market potential. Marketing research is time consuming and costly, making it challenging for managers needing quick decisions. Business often weigh the benefits of research against its time and cost. Additionally, field studies risk exposing ideas to competitors who may act first without research, causing the original company to lose its time advantage. Marketing research is time consuming and costly, making it challenging for managers needing quick decisions. Business often the benefits of research against time and cost. Additionally, the field studies risk exposing ideas competitors who may act fast without research. It is most important we should take care of that. Coming to the content users perspectives, how the users perception towards the marketing research. A decision maker should consider the following things to improve the usefulness of the marketing research. The first point is need of the research has to be established. Marketing research should be taken off only when the risk associated with the decision is high. It should be noted that marketing research should not be used to justify a decision made. Second is estimate, means near accurate information versus guesstimate. Estimate near accurate information, guesstimate what to guess. Managers often face time constraints and must choose between data from marketing research or intuitive guesstimates. The choice depends on their perception of risk and the organization's support for quick decision making. In competitive environments, managers may rely on experience and intuitions. According to Percy, highlight that the valuable that the timely, reasonably accurate information is often more valuable than highly accurate data that arrives too late. It is true or at the great cost. It is correct in that perspective. Thus, practice particularly often outweigh perception in commercial decision making. Then the next point is decision makers should not do the research. The role it means the roles of the decision maker and the researcher should be clearly demarcated once the problem definition is done. The researchers should take over after identifying the problem and conducting the research. If the decision maker is involved in conducting the research, then there is a possibility of justifying what he or she thinks or he or she knows. Ritchie and Brantley in 2001 suggested that the decision maker selectively chooses the information that supports their initial perceptions and overlooks any data that might challenge such perceptions and choices. The next point is decision maker should, however, be critical of the process. The marketing research process involves several steps where error can occur, affecting the study's validity. Decision makers, the marketing research process involves several steps where error can occur. There is a chance of occurrence of error, after which will affecting the study's validity. So decision makers should be critically assess the research process to ensure accuracy rather than rather than conduct the research themselves. Being critical means questioning method, data collection and analysis. Percy warned that researchers subjectivity can influence outcomes. Therefore, users of research must evaluate this objectivity and reliability. So we can say that the perception we have covered, that decision makers should not be the research. Decision makers should, however, be critical of the process and need of the research has to be established. Estimates versus guesstimate, these are the most important part or users perception we must have to carefully understand, or the researcher carefully understood. The most important part is that the justification we can say Marketing research should be taken up only when the risk associated with the decision is high. So many a time it happens with the researcher as well as the decision maker. These things should be taken care of, and sometimes also managers often face time constraint to take the decision. Sometimes collection of data, identification of the problem, then selection of the research design, sampling design, collection of data, analysis, again analysis of data, interpretation. All these things sometimes take more time, where the managers have very less time to take the decisions. So in that case, the best choice is to go for the manager's guesstimates, or you can what he or she guess, or what the experience is saying. According to that, he or she should go for the decisions. And as we say, decision makers should not do the research, because sometimes it happens that if decision maker is involved in the conducting of research, then there is a possibility of justifying that, the justifying what he or she thinks, he or she knows. So sometimes it overlaps, or we can say it coincides. That is why that should be taken care of. And decision makers should, however, be critical for the research process, and sometimes also a great researcher which is totally aware of the system, or he has totally idea about the researcher is required, otherwise we should not go for the research. As we say, there are many steps, each steps should be taken care of, otherwise we will be in a right track, but we will reach in a wrong solution. So each step of the research process should be taken care of, like identifying the research problem, then coming to the research objective, or then stating the correct hypothesis which should be testable in nature. This should be taken care of. And planning of sample. So sampling is a method of data collection, it is versus census method. No doubt census takes much time to collect the data, much time, much money, and entirely huge manpower is required to conduct the census process. And also we know that it is not a scientific process, we should go for the sampling many a time we required it. But we have to thoroughly examine our research problem, that which type of sampling is required for the study. There are many kind of process. It is divided into two process, that probability sampling and non-probability sampling, which we'll discuss in the latter. But we must know, the researcher should have the idea that which kind of sampling is going to be um, used in my question or research problem, so that it will lead me to a right conclusion. So in summary, I would like to say that if the right research process is there, or marketing research, so it serves as a vital link between an organization and its marketplace. It involves defining the problem, collecting the data, analyzing the data, and interpreting the data to help management better understand and the market environment, identifying the challenges and opportunities to evaluate potential market strategies. So, in this unit, we explored the definition, significance, and objective of marketing research, as well as the steps involved in the conducting of research. The scope of the marketing research includes supporting various strategic and tactical decisions. Moreover, it is essential for the researcher to consider users' expectations and acknowledge the limitation of the marketing research. So we must be very careful, take the decision, or you can say the right decision, where to use or where to go for the research, and where to take the guesstimates and the experience of the managers to take the right decision, so that we can get a right solution and which will be beneficial for both the researcher, managers, and the companies itself. So we should take care of the interpretation part also, as we said that interpretation, or you can say the conclusion, should be in very simple line, as we initially told that our research is going to give the benefits to the society, and the laymen are there who are going to study the results, or the decisions, how it is helpful for the society and the problems. Thank you. Now we are concluding the session. Thank you.